Now, damn it, kiss my ass.
Join the club!
Charter member. Is it gonna do it?
It was back in 1993 that the World Wrestling Federation was going through a youth movement. The WWF's new generation was taking effect, with mainstays of the past being replaced on the card with the younger superstars of the Federation. Gone from the WWF ring were names like Andre the Giant, Ric Flair, Rowdy Piper, and the Ultimate Warrior. In mid-1993, the WWF introduced the first ever King of the Ring pay-per-view event, which saw 8 qualifying superstars compete to be crowned the first ever WWF King of the Ring. Now, the WWF didn't mention leading up to the event that this wasn't actually the first King of the Ring tournament. In fact, there was actually 6 prior King of the Ring tournaments from 1985 to 1991, with Bret Hart having won the most recent tournament. The 1993 King of the Ring tournament was won by Bret the Hitman Hart for the first time, because he never got his world title match against Hulk Hogan on WWF TV. Apparently, his prize was getting to be on the cover of King of the Ring for the Game Boy. Judging by how this game was received by fans, some would say that Bret screwed Bret years prior to Montreal. This review of WWF King of the Ring for the Nintendo Game Boy was written by Mike Ticione. I'm Jose G from Virtual Suplex, bringing it to you here on video. When you think of bad wrestling games, there are several notable ones that come to mind, especially in the early days of gaming. You'll hear about games like WCW Backstage Assault, WWF Betrayal, WWF Steel Cage Challenge, The Simpsons Wrestling, and WCW Nitro. But this one is definitely a contender to be the worst pro wrestling game ever created. Released in 1993, WWF King of the Ring was the third Game Boy game to be released under the World Wrestling Federation license, following both WWF Superstars and WWF Superstars 2. It was also released for the Nintendo Entertainment System as the fourth and final WWF game for the NES. There are 4 different gameplay options in WWF King of the Ring, including one-on-one action, tag team matches, and tournament mode, and of course, the King of the Ring tournament. Both the one-on-one and tag team matches can be played by 1 or 2 players, but the King of the Ring and tournament modes are single player only. In the game's King of the Ring tournament, you'll face 3 wrestlers on your way to winning the crown, whereas in the tournament mode, you'll have to run the gauntlet and face every wrestler in the game to try and win the WWF Championship. In the game, there are 8 WWF superstars to choose from, including Bret the Hitman Hart, the Narcissist Lex Luger, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, Razor Ramon, the Macho Man Randy Savage, Yokozuna, and Hulk Hogan. There's also where you can adjust the skill points for your speed, strength, and stamina. Bam Bam Bigelow and The Undertaker weren't part of the roster on the Game Boy, although they were included on the roster for the NES version of the game. When you get into the gameplay, you immediately see why this is not only just a rough experience, even by Game Boy standards, but in general one of the most unpleasant experiences you'll ever have playing a wrestling game. There's simply nothing to the gameplay, as every wrestler has the exact same moveset, which consists of a body slam, a throw, and a running dropkick. Definitely a trademark move for guys like Yokozuna and the Hulkster. None of the WWF superstars in the game even have their finishing maneuvers to make them stand out, which makes every match feel very repetitive and forgettable. Perhaps the most major problem with this game comes during the actual gameplay, and it relates to the length of the matches. It takes forever to damage your opponent to the point where you may be able to pick up the win. While longer matches can be great in some wrestling games, this is definitely not one of them, especially when your moveset is so bland and limited. There's not even any music during matches. The only real sound during gameplay are a bad static noise on some moves like stomps, and the only thing the crowd pops for is the running dropkick. The wrestlers' themes will play when they finally win a match in this game. But that's it for the music. Outside of that, and it plays on both the title screens and the wrestler select screen. And there's nothing at all about the graphics to impress you. And the game even looks rough by Game Boy standards. The wrestler sprites are very strange looking with blocky torsos and some of the most basic faces you'll ever see in a wrestling game. In fact, the only thing in the game that even really resembles anything from WWF TV is the King of the Ring logo, which you see when you first start up the game. There is no replayability to this game whatsoever, and if you're looking for an old school WWF game for the Nintendo Game Boy, take a look at earlier titles with WWF Superstars and WWF Superstars 2. WWF King of the Ring on the Nintendo Game Boy is not worth going back to today, nor it was really worth playing then. While the options for wrestling games on the original Game Boy weren't that great, King of the Ring is undoubtedly the worst of the bunch. Thanks for watching today's review on WWF's King of the Ring for the Nintendo Game Boy. For more videos like this, make sure you smash that like button and hit the subscribe bell so you never forget when we drop brand new content. Follow us on all of our social medias